I cannot wait for more than this. Let us start the class, Advanced Java online class. Topic is Java-based web application development. Don't think all the web applications are only Java-based, not like that. You will have .NET based web applications, Python based web applications, okay, PHP based web applications. But advanced Java main intention is developing web applications. Core Java learning time, you learn standalone application development. Standalone applications. But in the industry, Java is never used anymore for standalone applications. Then why we are learning standalone in core Java? Intention is Java language learning. Okay, Java language learning and OOP, object-oriented programming learning. That is the concentration in core Java. So, to learn the language, to learn object-oriented programming principles, the best way to learn is through standalone application. Yes, in core Java, every application is a standalone application. Java is never used anymore in standalone application. Then why to waste our time? No, you are not wasting your time. You are learning Java language. You are learning object-oriented programming. That's all. But Java, most of the cases, Java usage in web application. Okay, web applications. And distributed applications. Okay, distributed applications. So, when you learn full stack high-end part of Java with Spring Boot, microservices, and all those things, you will be learning distributed application development. Don't ask me now what is a distributed application. Even I know also, I will not tell. I have taken 100 batches for developing distributed applications. But in advanced Java, we don't learn that. Therefore, I don't comment on that. Okay. So the point to understand is, you cannot enjoy developing distributed applications unless you learn web applications. Web application development, you will get a real feel of the Java projects. Real feel will come when you are learning web application development. But in reality, more than web application learning will be there, distributed application. Okay, so another 3 weeks, you will be learning Java-based web application development. First, what is a web application? What is Java-based? All you will be learning, please. That is my duty to teach you. Okay. And don't think too much. Attend regularly. Even one class also, I strongly recommend not to miss. Not to miss. Okay, fine. Good. In web application development only, MVC architecture will come. So last part of this batch, I will teach MVC architecture also. Okay. So that's all. That's all. Let us start the story. Okay. Now the question is, what is a website? Question is, what is a website? Every website is not a web application, but every web application is a website. Believe me, believe me. Every website is a web application, but no. Every website is not a web application. Every web application is a website. Therefore, even though our topic is web application development, I am starting the question with what is a website. By the end of today's session, definitely, okay, if not today, tomorrow, first 15 minutes, you will be learning why every web application is a website, why not every website is not a web application. I can tell you, web application is, technical people use that word. Technical people, we developers use the word web application. End users, non-technical people use the word website. Okay, so uh, by the end of today's class or by first 15 minutes of tomorrow's class, you will get the clarity. Good. What is a website? A collection of web pages that mostly belong to a single organization. Located under a single domain name is nothing but a website. So, if anybody asks you this much big definition, no need to tell. Okay, what is a website? A collection of web pages. That's all. But all those web pages collection belongs to whom? Single organization. Infosys company website, IBM website, HDFC bank website, ICICI bank website. Like that, to a company or a collection of web pages belonging to a company, a single company is a website. One technical point I mentioned, every website will have a domain name. This domain name only makes web pages available to users. Every website has a unique domain name. That's it. So what is domain and all? You have to Google search. Here, Java based web application development I teach. But So I observe the doubts, na? All your dreams, you will try to realize from me only. Sir, what is a web page? What is a website? What is a domain? Okay, your personal desires try to fulfill by searching, right? That's all. So the point to understand here is a collection of web pages is nothing but a website. But every website is associated with a unique name. That unique name is known as a domain name. For example, you want this hdfc.com. Okay. ashokit.in, icici.com. What is this hdfc.com? It's a domain name. It is a name of a website that belongs to HDFC company. ashokit.in, it is a unique name of the website of our institute, Ashokite. Similarly, a unique name, domain name, okay, so given to the website of ICICI Bank. These are the examples of domain names. Yeah, Amazon.com is correct. Flipkart.com, like that. Okay. So the point to understand here is, when you attend web classes, na, okay, at that time more elaboration will come for you. Here I have to elaborate on Java side actually, not explaining what is this, not that. That is not our area. In fact, very good, very good. So note, a website is hosted onto a web server. Hosting onto a web server. So there will be a web server. Into the web server, if you don't host the web server, website, the web pages are not available to the users. Remember. See this here. What are the terminologies being used? Website, website, web server, domain name. So you will get it. You will get, if you, what is hosting? Installing the website into the web server is nothing but hosting of the website. If website is not hosted into the web server, web pages are not available to the users. You hosted the website into web server, very good. But if users don't know the domain name of the website, they cannot get the web pages of the website. That's all. As of now, that's all. Again, you may be getting a doubt. Sir, why are you talking about website? Heading is web application. Yes, every web application is a website. That is why we are on right track. Believe me, believe me. So next question. What is the architecture of a website? what is the architecture of a website. And one more point I tell you, I take the class from 8 to 9:15. 15 minutes I give for doubts clearance generally. But 10 to 15 people logging out last 15 minutes at 9 o'clock only. That is a disorder, psychological disorder, right? I'm sorry. I apologize if you got hurt, but it is a fact. Without attending full length class, only fools will come to next class. As simple as that. If you want to learn, attend full. Why quarter learning, half learning? As simple as that. I can challenge you, I can promise you, you cannot get better class than this on web application development. But you don't realize, okay, that too free now. So you will not care for that. So we are giving content through Ashok IT 10 times better than the paid batch, like, but you don't realize that. I pity you. Sorry. That's all. Good. So now the point is, what is the architecture of a website? What is the architecture of a website? Good. Actually, Java database communication, client server architecture, website architecture also, client server architecture. So diagram, this is here I mentioned diagram, but in your notes, this diagram you have to draw. Now you have to take the screenshot of it. Okay. Screenshot of this one because I cannot share it. Okay. So look at this. Look at this. Client server architecture. So website also follows client server architecture. This black box is a computer, client machine. Inside this computer, web client is installed. Black box is the computer. This blue box is the web client. Because client is running in this computer, it is known as a client machine. Observe here. This black box is a machine. It is a computer. In this computer, web server is installed. Web server is not a computer. Web server is a software. Remember that. In which computer web server is installed, that computer is server machine. Web server machine. Okay. That is nothing but a web server machine. So this is the architecture of a website, please. Okay, that's it. So if you observe this, from web client, request will go to web server. From web client, request will go to web server. From web server, response will go to web client. Okay. Web client is a software. Web page's sake, web resources sake, request making software is web client. Web page's sake, request making software is a web client. But client server to communicate, they use one protocol known as HTTP protocol, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Web client software, web server software, both use which communication protocol? HTTP. So, Hypertext Transfer Protocol to communicate. Web client is also known as HTTP client. Web server is also known as HTTP server. Always web client makes a request to the web server. Web server gives a response to the web client. Okay. See, three names here. One name is web client. Another name is HTTP client. Another name is browser. So browser is a commercial name, not a technical name. In fact, all these three are one and the same. Browser is a commercial, non-technical name. Another name for browser software is web client. Another name for web client is HTTP client. Why browser is known as HTTP client? First of all, why it is a client? Because it is a begging fellow. For what sake it will beg? Web pages sake it begs. Only web pages, mostly web pages, but technically we say web resources. Only web pages who will see audio, video, images, so many things like. All of them are known as web resources. Web resources sake, request making program is a web client. Web resources giving program is web server. Web server is not hardware, always remember. It is a software. Okay. So this is the architecture of a, what is that? Website. Okay, fine. Exactly 1 more minute I revise. Web client sends a request to web server. Web server sends a response to web client. Web client software and web server software communicate each other using a protocol called Hypertext Transfer Protocol. That is why web server is also known as HTTP server. Web client is also known as HTTP client. Client is always request making fellow. Whatever request web client is making, it is known as HTTP request. Whatever response web server is giving to the web client, it is known as HTTP response. Exactly, this is the architecture of a website. That's all. So this diagram, you have to take a snapshot and then you draw in the notes where I have written diagram. I will not share that diagram. Don't ask me. That's it. Over. So next question. What is a web client? What is a web client? Web resources sake, request making software is nothing but a web client. Web client uses HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol. Hypertext transfer protocol to request the web page, web resources, to request the web server for web resources. Therefore, it is also known as a HTTP client. Web client, HTTP client. So, simply speaking, web page sake request making software is a web client. Because it uses hypertext transfer protocol to beg the web server, therefore it is called as HTTP client. In fact, a web client, in fact, browser is the web client. Browser is the web client. That's all. Browser is not a technical term, commercial term. Browser. I need not mention the examples of browsers. You know more than what I know, right? Over. Next question. What is a web server? Next question. What is a web server? A software that provides requested web resources to web clients is nothing but web server. Please remember, web server is a software. That point, please don't forget. Web server is a software, not a hardware. 20% of the students feel that web server is a hardware. No, it's a software. What is its duty? Serving. To whom it serves? To web clients. What does it serve? Web pages it will serve. So, a software that provides requested web resources to web clients is nothing but a web server. A web server is also known as HTTP server. Why HTTP server? I told you already. Because it uses hypertext transfer protocol to communicate with the browser, it is known as HTTP server. But here I can better give examples. For example, Apache. Apache is most famous web server. IIS, Internet Information Server. It is from Microsoft. Apache, server name Apache, company is ASF company. Apache Software Foundation company is the owner of this server. IIS full form, Internet Information Server from Microsoft company. If you want to know more names, Google search. I know these two famous names. That's all. Very good. Next question. is, what is a static website? Naturally, next question will be, what is a dynamic website? In the beginning of the class, I told na, every web application is a website, but every website is not a web application. Here you will get that meaning, please. Static website is not a web application. Dynamic website is technically known as web application. Is web application a website? Yes, it's a website only. Is dynamic website a web application? Yes, dynamic website other name is web application. Is every website a web application? No, no. Static website is not at all a web application. That is the point, please. So, static website cannot be called as, static website cannot be called and should not be called as a web application. But dynamic website, another name is web application. As simple as that. As simple as that. So now, question is, what is a static website? So now the question is, what is a static website? So, non-interactive, only information providing website is nothing but a static website. Within another 15 to 20 minutes, you will get very, very good clarity on static website and dynamic website. Definitely, definitely. So, non-interactive, only information providing website. Here, some misconceptions are there. People wrongly feel like this. Assume it is the browser. User using the browser, accessing the web pages of the website. Okay. You know what this user has done is, into the URL box, typed the website address like something.com. Got one web page. Got some web page. Now one hyperlink is there. User clicked on the hyperlink. Next page has come. Don't call this as interaction. Clicking on the hyperlink does not come under interaction. Interactive means there should be a form. Input screen should be there. User should be able to enter some input and get the required response. If you enter your hall ticket number, you should get your marks memo. If you enter your username password, you should get your page. If you enter your account number, you should get your balance. User should be able to enter some input into the web page and get the appropriate or corresponding response. That is called interaction. Not clicking on the image, getting something. Clicking on the link, getting the next page. That does not come under interaction at all. Be very careful. Be very careful. Very. So, only information providing website. For example, your college website, assume college website. You type your address, that name of your website. You get one page. Colorful buildings, departments, okay, placements, this, that, labs, they will show. And if you department-wise hyperlinks will be there, they click on CSC, they click on AML department, they click on MCA. Please remember, if you click on hyperlink, you are getting the next page. Don't think that site is a dynamic website. If you enter your roll number or hall ticket number, your college website should take your number and give you your fees details. How much amount still you have to pay. Okay, what are the backlogs you have? What is the percentage of marks you got in your each semester? If you are getting such response, then only you feel that your college website is a dynamic website. Okay, so just information providing, no interaction providing, taking the user input, giving that user specific response page to the user. Such website is a dynamic website. Please remember, that is the point to understand. So, only information providing website, but non-interactive website is a static website. Then naturally, what is a dynamic website? What is a dynamic website? A website that provides interaction to the end users in addition to information. Is nothing but dynamic website. Please remember, static website also gives information to the users. Dynamic website also gives the information. But dynamic website takes user input. Okay, responds to that user in a user specific way. That's all. Another two more questions I mention here, then you will get total clarity. This question seems to be silly, but you will definitely get a very good idea by the end of these two questions. What are the similarities between a static website and a dynamic website? What are the similarities between a static website and a dynamic website? When I was saying earlier, some of you are missing. Please remember, in web application development, our topic is Java-based web application development. Here, while teaching this, I cover connection pooling, most important topic of JDBC I will cover. And at the end of the batch, how to call a stored procedure from a Java program by using callable statement. That also I will teach at the end of this batch. Okay, please remember. So you need not ask. Now the question. What are the similarities between a static website and a dynamic website? Both are websites, right? But Even though question seems to be silly, after giving, naturally common sense will tell you. Okay, next question should be, what are the differences? What are the differences? Once similarities and differences over, complete clarity will come for you. If static website development is the thing, you need not learn full stack Java. Static website development, web designer is sufficient. HTML and CSS, if you know these two, structure of the web page and style of the web page. If you know two things, if you know, okay, HTML and CSS, you will become a web designer. You can beautifully build static websites. No, that is not Java professional's role. Okay, dynamic website development is the role of the Java professional. Okay, dynamic website development only, full stack, Python full stack, .NET full stack, PHP full stack, Java full stack. The term full stack is coming. Dynamic website development is the intention. Always remember, please. Okay, fine. Now, question is, what are the similarities between a static website and a dynamic website? Similarities between a static website and a dynamic website. Okay. Both provide information to the end users. Both provide information online or online information to the end users. Static website also provides information. Dynamic website also provides information. Both need web server. To host them. Whether it is static website or dynamic website, if you don't load that website into web server, loading a website, installing a website, hosting of website, all are synonymous. If there is no web server, no website. That's all. Be it a static website or be it a dynamic website, we need web server. Without web server, no website can be used by the users. That's all. Both use HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol, anyhow required. Silly points. Both need a browser to render. Render means display. To render the web pages to the end users. So browser to get the web pages, web server to send the web pages. So web server to provide the web pages to the browser, browser to display them to the user. So without a browser, without a web server, without hypertext transfer protocol, neither static website survives nor dynamic website survives. But both provide information, online information or information online to the users. Very good. Both have a unique domain name. Every website, whether static website or a dynamic website, they have a domain name. That's all. So, without that unique domain name, users cannot get the web pages of that website. A website is uniquely recognized only through their domain name. But if you are a technical person, domain name, but I will not entertain this topic in doubts, please. Okay, I will not answer them at all in a doubt wise, right? Only I am mentioning, that's all. Okay, it is the browser. Okay, it is a browser. And you want to get a web page from a website. You say WR, simply say, okay, Ashok, ashokit.in. But sorry, ashokit.in is not understandable to browser. Actually, this domain name internally converted into IP address. IP address. In a network of computers, any computer is uniquely recognized with IP address only. Okay. In the background, some DNS server, domain name system server will be running. You are typing human readable text domain name. In the background, okay, the request will go to DNS server in the background running. That DNS server will return corresponding IP address of the computer where Ashok IT website is running. Now from the browser, request will go to that particular IP address to send the page like. I will not, mother promise, don't ask me any question in this area. I will not answer, please. Okay. So, but the point to understand is every website is associated with domain name. Name is easy to remember, but internally it will be converted into IP address. If you want to learn more on that, you just Google search on your own. Don't try to depend upon me over. So whether it is a static website or a dynamic website, both will have a unique name, domain name. Last similarity. Last similarity, okay, HTML 5 maybe, right? And CSS3 are common for building the web pages of both the websites. Means whether you are developing a web page of static website or whether you are building the web page of a dynamic website. In both the cases, HTML5 and CSS3 are commonly required. JavaScript also there, means mostly JavaScript is used in dynamic websites only, but it does not mean that you cannot use here. I don't want to take risk. So that's all similarities. Okay. Exactly 1 minute I repeat. Whether static website or a dynamic website, both are meant for providing online information to the users. Without a web server, they cannot run. Okay, hypertext transfer protocol only used. Without a browser, no web pages cannot be shown to the user. Whether static website pages or dynamic website pages, browser mandatory. And static website or dynamic website, both will have unique domain name. To build the web pages of static website or dynamic website, HTML5 and CSS3 are required. Okay, common. That is why when you join full stack Java course in our institute, along with core Java, HTML and CSS, that they parallelly run. And Oracle means SQL also they parallelly run. By the time your core Java course completed, you will complete HTML, CSS3, JavaScript and Oracle also. You will be ready. Advanced Java complete. So less than 4 months around, you will know core Java, you will know advanced Java, you will know HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript. You will be ready for high-end Spring Boot web services. I mean, all those things, right? That's all. So now coming to what are the differences between a static website and a dynamic website. Static website. This is the most important part of the discussion, guys. Okay. Then why full stack required and all, you will come to know here. Okay. Already we know static website is non-interactive. Okay. Here it is interactive. It is not a web application. It is a web application. So website, static website is not a web application, but a dynamic website is a web application. Okay. Look at this. Look at this. For example, there is a login screen. There is a login screen. Say username, password. Some, okay, username, password. Any login screen is there means definitely it belongs to dynamic website only. No doubt. No doubt. So user entered the username and password. Assume user entered the username and password. Okay. So please remember, user input is happening. Definitely this web page is from which website? Dynamic website only. Click on the submit button. Now tell me, you will get next services web page of that website only when this authentication is successful. Think with common sense. This username and password, okay, definitely where they are stored? They are stored in the database only, na? They are stored in the database only. Okay, it means when user enters the username password in the background, okay, backend processing should have happened. In the background, this username password should be retrieved and sent to the DBMS select statement. Matching these two values, if record is found in users table, then only welcome, otherwise get out. So without database, you don't have dynamic website. So please remember, whether it is online banking, online reservation, online insurance, anything, almost all the websites are dynamic only currently. 0.0000001% of the sites may be static. Mostly academic websites may be static, but no commercial website can be static. Should be dynamic. Very good. So what I'm trying to say here. So here For static website, no database required. No database required. Okay. Database is almost mandatory. Very good. Observe carefully. This is the most important aspect. Most important aspect. User entered the username password. You mean to say this browser, your HTML, will directly communicate with database? Impossible. Impossible. Your browser cannot communicate with database. There must be a server-side program. Server-side means web server-side program. What that server-side program duty? Capture the username password, communicate with the database, process the data, give the response to the user. If it is a dynamic website, definitely web server side program mandatory. No server side programming. That's why full stack not required. Full stack means client side and server side, both sides development. Na? So, no server side development required, no server side programming for static website. Server side programming mandatory. See, database mandatory, server side programming mandatory. Which server side? Web server side programming. Web server side programming is mandatory. So, web server side programming is mandatory. So, please remember, dynamic website is a web application. It provides interactive online services. To provide such services, coding, server-side programming required, and database is involved. Database is involved. It is silly issue, but okay. It provides general purpose information, but not user specific information. What is the meaning is, for any user, your college details, how many departments are there, what are the labs available, all that information, it is common to everybody. Common information to every user of the website only it can provide. So that user's fees details, that student's mark details, a static website cannot give. Gives both. Okay. General purpose info and user specific info. That's it. So, important thing you should have learned here is, okay, server side programming, database involvement, it's a web application. So like that, like that. Okay. Somebody is asking, when they are providing user input means definitely it is a dynamic. No need to ask. Okay. So I hope I have given some information on what is static, what is dynamic and all that. Okay. Now, advanced Java learning means dynamic website development, web application development, web server side programming learning. Okay. This web server side program communicating with database, providing you online services to the end users, interactive services giving online. So that's what. So with this, for today, I stop my explanation. And from your side, try to ask the doubts. But actually, I should not entertain any doubts today because no Java involved here. Most of the doubts what you want to ask Google search. It will answer you. But still, okay, my habit to answer, I will try. If you are beyond asking, I will cut anyhow. That's all. From my side, today is over. You can start asking the doubts. So almost no questions, it seems. Otherwise, I would have continued another 10 minutes. I would have taken the class. That's all. No more questions. Can I sign off?
Sir, hi sir. Good evening, sir. This is
Yeah.
Murad.
Yeah.
Sir, for example, for a static website, for example, when we submit some button, like it will give information where open on web page, like college information like that.
Uh, you clicked on submit button means what you entered. Without button, it is not giving.
Like college details like that.
No, sir. Button clicking not required for college details. Na? The moment you type URL or you click on the hyperlink, you will get. Na? Button
Okay, like
clicking
that it
required.
not required. For example, we can give URL, it will open on page like that.
Uh,
That is static, but that information where it will store, sir, like
uh.
back backend or how it will give information.
In the hard disk of the web server machine in the form of web pages. Data entry
Yeah.
operators entered the data.
Okay.
That's all.
In our client machine, it will be stored, sir. Like
How
like in
client
our
machine will be stored? Web pages are always stored in the web server machine. When you
okay.
request, it will come from the server to the browser. It will display. That's it.
Like it is only static website only.
Yeah. Any website, data, general purpose information, the web yeah, in the web pages only it is available. Those web pages are developed and stored in the hard disk of the web server machine in the form of .html or .htm files.
Okay, okay.
Right.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right. Any more questions, please? Uh, Today's notes I will upload in the meantime. Upload notes, batch status in progress. Topic name. Date 4/11/24. That is main.
Huh? 200.
Yeah, class notes uploaded successfully. Let us see that. Yeah, web application development 4/11/24. So yeah, I accessed it. It is coming.
Sir, I
Ah,
am Karthik Patil.
yeah,
So any login functionalities is related to dynamic websites only?
100% dynamic only, sir. We'll see in our examples, we are going to see how login will provide dynamism only. It is.
Okay.
Right.
In static websites, we can see only details of particular domain. Like if I choose some college means we have to see some their like what their information only, right?
Yeah.
We are not adding some information to that one like that.
Nothing you can do from your side.
Okay.
What
Okay.
they do, they appoint some data entry operators like or a web designer. They enter the data into HTML files. Store the HTML files in the hard disk of the web server machine. They host the website into the web server. That's all. Their duty is over. Now, students will visit it through the college domain name. They will visit the pages. One page, click on the link, next page, click on the link, next page, department information, previous placements information, all that pre-created information only will be there. There is no dynamism, no user input, no database, no server-side program. Got the point?
Yeah, yeah, yes, sir. I
That's all.
got that one.
That's all. That's all.
Thank you, sir.
Most. That's all, sir. Any more? So I am signing off as nobody is asking.